Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on Manisha Bata Desa Wekanda. Also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, we delve into a fallout from the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. We unpack the key issues, including the latest move to seek a favorable judgment at the ECOWAS court. Stay with us. We've got details for you. The Akwatia by-election may be over, but it has left behind a trail of unresolved security concerns. The losing New Patriotic Party is urging law enforcement to take up the matter. The NDC isn't staying silent. We've got details for you here on Ghana Tonight. The man who rose to the occasion when it mattered most to clinch the Akwatia parliamentary seat in a fiercely contested by-election, Bediako Baidoo, joins us tonight for a conversation. Stay with us here on your Election Command Center. And matters arising, as always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
President Mahama has inspected the construction work on the Amasaman-Nsawam Road. During the inspection, President Mahama stated that the duty of the contractor should not impede on the flow productivity on the road, but rather make the road more accessible through adequate arrangement.
A loan was taken for this project, and I don't understand why the money is finished and the project is not over, and that we're having to come and pay supplementary almost 78 million from government of Ghana funds. So that's something that we need to find out.
Government is rejecting claims former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono was subjected to an unfair removal process. Retired Chief Justice Sophia Akufo on Tuesday described the entire removal process as unnecessary. Deputy Attorney General Justice Rimsai has been responding to this.
So many people in this country, when they commit a certain crime, we jail them 5 years, 10 years, and all. So if the proposition is that we should excuse leaders or those who are at the top of the, let me call it the political food chain, to do certain things without holding them to account, we can adopt that as a country. The other school of thought is that for persons who are at that level, they should even be held to a higher standard, in the sense that they know and ought to know that this should not be done.
Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Mustafa Gbande, has criticized the minority leader, Alexander Penyo-Marking, for allegedly destroying posters at the NDC's office in Akwatia. He says the call by the New Patriotic Party to arrest NDC's first vice chairman is flawed.
Yesterday's election would have been with no single incident, but for Penyo-Marking, he must grow up and demonstrate leadership. Because when you are fortunate to have gotten to where he is, you can't come down the ladder. To even muster the courage to enter into a political party's office to tear posters. Chief, is dangerous enough. They should be prepared for the law to work harmoniously with individuals that are involved.
Following recent remarks by New Dwabing South MP Michael Otrebefi, many have voiced disappointment, stressing the need for politicians to be accountable for their words. Governance expert Professor David Abdullahi has also urged his resignation, arguing the comments were inappropriate and that stepping down would help restore credibility and integrity in politics.
It speaks to his integrity and credibility. He should resign. And the other thing is, it also speaks to his values. What does he really stand for? If you are a leader and you speak in such a way, then people should be able to take you based upon your word. So what he has done, actually, he has brought a lot of shame to his constituents. I think it's high time that the parliament actually come up with standing orders against these kind of things.
Ghana's annual inflation rate has declined for the 8th consecutive month, reaching its lowest level in almost 4 years. Government statistician Al-Hassan Idrisu announced on Wednesday that the annual inflation rate for August slowed to 11.5%, down from 12.1% in July.
Prices today are 11.5% higher than they were in August 2024. And the lowest inflation we've observed since October 2021. And in December, inflation was 23.8%. That shows a sustained easing of price pressures.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on YouTube as well, and all across the world on 3news.com, and proudly brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Tum Tum Preco. Coming up next year on Ghana Tonight. Now, the fight for justice, Geto Tukono, continues. Now, she's not giving up as yet. We break down the fallout from her removal and her bold move to the ECOWAS court. In fact, that's the latest on the plate for the former Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba Araba Tokono. Now removed Chief Justice has filed a fresh application at the Community Court of Justice, ECOWAS. This time, asking for a judgment in default of appearance. Now, we're going to break it down so you understand what this means. Now, she wants the court to proceed and hand her judgment, arguing, amongst other things, that the time for Ghana's Attorney General to file a defense has elapsed. That's the argument that she's making right now. And to really get a clear understanding of this. And then it's prepared with Dana Price right now. And this is the argument that the former Chief Justice is going to the ECOWAS court with. Now, but let's put it in context. What does all of this really mean, especially in the scheme of things as has been playing out at the ECOWAS court over the period?
Well, Alfred, so if you recall, one of the actions that the now former Chief Justice took by way of a legal challenge to the processes that she was going through was the fact that she had gone to the ECOWAS courts, in which she alleged violation of her human rights and also making other demands, including that of damages in the sum of $10 million. However, they had to deal with preliminary matters before even hearing the substantive case itself.
Yeah.
The preliminary matters, like I explained before, are in the nature of what we have in our local courts as injunction. So that if that preliminary hearing was granted, it meant that it would have the effect of, if it were in a local setting, putting the processes on hold.
Right.
However, hearing for that preliminary part of the whole suit was heard, but then the court had to adjourn indefinitely for a ruling on that particular matter. But Alfred, let's.
But has that ruling been delivered? No,
not yet, because it was adjourned indefinitely for that ruling to be heard. That has not been done yet. However, because the substantive suit was pending, for which there was the expectation that the Attorney General of Ghana would enter or also file a defense to that particular suit. The argument which is being made now is the fact that the time allowed under the rules, which is 30 days, has elapsed. And that our Attorney General has yet not filed that process to defend the suit before the ECOWAS court. And to that extent, she's asking the court, by virtue of this application, for a judgment in default of defense to proceed to rule in her favor. And the argument is simple. If the rules allow 30 days for you to file your defense, and that the 30 days have elapsed, you have not filed your defense, it means you do not have a defense to the suit. So proceed and give me judgment. That is the point where she's coming from. But as we progress, we'll hear what the Attorney General's office is saying, because our colleague Joseph Kofi Frimpong Akabli spoke to the Deputy Attorney General, who has been explaining what their thinking is and what their understanding of the situation is. But let's look at the exact reliefs that the now removed Chief Justice is seeking from this particular court in respect of this matter. So one, she wants an order that the ECOWAS courts, she wants an order that the courts grants her the relief in the original application. Now, mind you, the original one is the suit that I'm talking, the substantive matter itself. Because...
Including the $10 million in damages?
Yes. Okay. So it contains all that. And we'll go back to look at some of the things that were said in that particular one. That an order of this honorable court that the plaintiff applicant, now former Chief Justice, has made a case entitling her to the reliefs sought in the originating application. She goes on to say that an order of this honorable court, that's what she's asking, entering a default judgment in this suit in favor of the applicant, the plaintiff applicant, due to failure of the defendant respondent. Defendant respondent, here referring to the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Attorney General, to file a defense. And that for the fact that they failed to file a defense, a judgment, a default judgment should be entered in her favor. And then for such other orders that the court deems fit. Now, this is the basis for making that argument. I've already explained, but let's characterize them as they appear.
Right.
That the court rules require that responses be filed within 30 days. The argument is that between the time that the case was filed and now, that we still do not have a response from the Attorney General, it's more than 30 days. And that to that extent, the Republic of Ghana having failed or neglected to file the defense within the timeline means that the Republic has abandoned the right to file a defense.
Right.
So this is what she's essentially put before the court, hoping that they will proceed to grant the reliefs that are being sought here by giving her a default judgment. So that's basically how things look like in this particular matter.
Okay.
But like I explained, the Deputy Attorney General has been responding to some of these matters, including what their thinking or their understanding of the situation is and how even this suit got to their attention. So let's listen to Dr. Justice Remsai when he spoke to our colleague Joseph Akable on this particular matter.
Dawn, we woke up to another process which was served on us from the court, that the former Chief Justice is seeking judgment in default of defense. In other words, that we've not defended the substantive suit. We had 30 days to do so, and that we have not filed our defense. But our preliminary thought is that if we are objecting to the jurisdiction of the court, and the court has taken argument and has adjourned to give a ruling one way or the other, we do not exactly think that we have to file on the substantive issue, because the question before the court is whether the court has jurisdiction. The court has to clear that aspect first. And when it says that it has jurisdiction to assume, then they will order us to file our defense. And indeed, if the court was interested in getting the court could have ordered that we should file our defense together with our preliminary objection, because we were heard. It's not as if we argued that matter in court, in the ECOWAS court, and we were heard. And the court in adjourning didn't give any further direction. They told us that they are rising, and then they have adjourned the case, indefinitely. And when they come back, they will give us further directions. So we were waiting for the court to give us further direction, only to be served with a notice for default of defense. So that is where we are at the moment.
So what are the next steps? You'll be applying for that to be thrown out as well?
Yeah, we would have to file to oppose the application for default judgment.
Well, so that's what the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Adam Simsa, is saying. They're going to file to oppose this default judgment that she's asking for.
Yes.
That's going to be the next step.
Yes, so what that essentially means is that they still are not going to file any process to oppose the substantive suit. And his explanation is that as at the time they were filing the process to challenge what we describe as preliminary hearing, one of the issues that they raised was the fact that the court did not even have the jurisdiction to hear the substantive matter. So they are saying that because they are waiting on the court to make a determination on that preliminary hearing, which includes their objection to the jurisdiction of the court, they did not think that, or they do not think that they have to file a defense to a substantive suit, which they have been challenging the jurisdiction of the court.
So they wanted that challenge of the jurisdiction to be cleared,
determined
before
yes.
they would even respond.
So their understanding is that it is only when the court is giving its ruling on the preliminary hearing, and if the court says that it has jurisdiction to hear the substantive matter, it's only then that the court will order them to file a defense. So what they intend to do moving forward is not to defend the substantive matter, but to oppose this new move by the now removed Chief Justice to have a default judgment. So more or less like opposing the move to get the default judgment granted. So that's how things look like in this particular scheme.
No, but let's stay a bit on the reliefs, the original reliefs in the original suit that was filed.
Yes.
And not this one that she's just done this morning. The original. Let's just recall
subsequent to that, this was what they had for the preliminary stage. And if this were granted, that would mean that the thing was going to be on hold. And it's simply, as you see it, that the suspension of or the disciplinary or removal process against the Chief Justice pending the hearing and detention of the case, continuous enjoyment of paraphernalia and entitlement of the Chief Justice's office pending the hearing and determination of the case. These were the things that she was asking for, that she should be allowed. At this point, she was suspended. So the argument was that she should be allowed to continue to enjoy the benefits that come with her office, pending the hearing and determination of the matter, and that's the substantive matter. And also that refrain from taking any other measures that may harm the rights claimed by the Chief Justice. So those basically were her reasons for making that move and asking that the initial stages, the preliminary matter, be determined. However, in opposing that, the Attorney General then simply made the case that as at the time that this application was made, it was made as though she was removed as a Chief Justice. But the Attorney General said no, she was still the Chief Justice, and that at the time of the application, she was the Chief Justice.
Even though there was an acting Chief Justice.
Yes, but she was the Chief Justice of Ghana. Because
at the time, that decision of her removal had not been taken as yet.
Exactly. And also because she alleged violation of human rights, the Attorney General also says that she has no personal right to the continuous performance of the functions of the office of the Chief Justice, where she is a subject of constitutional prescribed removal proceedings. This again responds to her pleading that she be allowed to enjoy the benefits that associate or that are attached to her office. The C talks about the fact that the suspension of the Chief Justice then from office of the Chief Justice was not done unilaterally because there were allegations that it was done unilaterally and arbitrarily by the President.
Yes.
And that also that the suspension from office was done in accordance with the Constitution of Ghana. They cite Article 146 and all that. What is instructive in here is the G, where the Attorney General had made the point that the court is manifestly incompetent to assume jurisdiction over the substantive matter. So this is the point that Dr. Justice Srimsai is saying that if they make a determination or the ruling comes and this matter is resolved, then the court will order them to enter a defense.
Until
in the absence of that, they are only minded to go and defend the new move which has been taken by the former Chief Justice. So that's how things look like as it stands, Alfred.
It's a development that we're following quite closely. And this is not the only one. Martin Bebo is going to be joining us in a bit. He's a private legal practitioner. But also, yesterday, Joseph Akable spoke to a former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, who is now a member of the Council of State of this administration led by His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama. I'm talking about Madame Sophia Ekofo. And she expressly stated clearly that she is not in favor of this decision that has been taken, and it appears to have corroborated some reports previously. He took issue with how her position on the matter was communicated earlier than yesterday before that exclusive interview with her, and the fact that in her view, the gravamen of the misconduct or the stated misbehavior on which basis this decision has been taken to remove the Chief Justice, in her view, is not weighty enough for such a punishment for that matter. This is what she had to say. Let's hear her, and we'll put some matters in context as well. Then it's going to be running through some other issues that have come on the back of this exclusive interview Joseph Akable had with Sophia Ekofo. But this is what she said. Take a look.
In the end, you look at the gravity of the harm that was done, if any. If any. That's all I've got to say on that.
And so as far as you're concerned, that also does not meet the threshold in your definition?
No, doesn't.
Do you think, and this is as a general question, do you think from what you've heard about the allegations, it should have crossed the threshold? I mean, I've seen suggestions that you abstained from the vote at the Council of States level.
I cannot reveal what happened at the Council of State
But then the
level.
question is, do you think it crosses the threshold of a prima facie determination?
You think you can get me to?
Oh, no, my lady, it's a separate question. It's a separate question.
You think you're
because
separating it?
you have expressed an opinion on the three allegations that we've discussed.
Yes, and so deduce.
So as far as you are concerned,
from what I've said.
Yes. Is it a fair deduction to say that your opinion is that it does not cross the threshold?
It does not cross the threshold. The part I played in this matter was only in terms of prima facie. And prima facie only had to do with the facts as they are before you, or the allegations, and any supporting material as has been presented to you. Isn't that it? So, like I said, I didn't see what is in what came before them beyond what I had earlier on seen. And what I had earlier on seen was insufficient. Yes. It didn't even cross into the inquiry stage.
So a committee, in your opinion, should not have been set up to inquire into it?
I think it follows, doesn't it? It follows.
Well, so that's the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, also a member of the Council of State, indicating a number of things, including the fact that where she was involved in this particular issue regarding the former Chief Justice, Gertrude Sabatukono, and in her view, to the extent that all of these, the threshold in her view was not met. Talking about a committee being established was out of the question. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner joining us on Zoom right now. Counsel, you've seen and heard the former Chief Justice, who's a member of the Council of State now, Sophia Ekofo, specifically indicate her position on this, and the fact that, in her view, the gravity or the gravamen of the offense does not in any way warrant the punishment or the action of the removal of the Chief Justice, because from where she sits, the threshold was not met. Does that argument have any merit as well from what you observed every step of the way in the matter relating to what led to the removal of the Chief Justice?
Well, Mr. Ocansey, it pains me that tonight I have to disagree violently with my beloved Sophia Kufu. Yeah, it's painful, but, well, when it comes to the national interest, just as she was candid, even though, I mean, that's her opinion, and even though she's a member of the Council of State, that's the same way I have to be brutally frank with my beloved Sophia Kufu, former Chief Justice. I totally disagree with Justice Sophia Kufu. What happened cannot be considered as trivial. I heard that. Did you hear the word trivial?
Essentially, the description she put to it, that
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't weighty. It says the gravity doesn't meet the threshold.
Yeah, yes, we can't say that. To be honest, we can't. And so, with the way our beloved Sophia Kufu is put it, one is left with a very strong impression that that was the same way she was running the system. Yes, a very strong impression. It's good. It's good. And I'm sure for me, coming from me, you all know that I love Sophia Kufu to bits. Every Saturday when I sit down, I'm always lauding her on the Key Points program, always extolling her virtues. So if you see me disagreeing with her today, then it means that it's a serious matter. Our dear Sophia Kufu, no, this is not trivial. Please, people have gone to jail for stealing plantain, cocoyam, fowls, etc. So, and how much is plantain? 100 Ghana, 200 Ghana, etc. I mean, misconduct involving per diem that runs to $10,000 at a go, $10,000 at a go, etc. Even today, how much is $10,000? $10,000 today, even the interbank rate, you call it roughly 105,000 Ghana. I know the interbank rate has gone up a bit, but I'm using a conservative rate. 105,000 Ghana. You know, if you divide even by 12 months, you know how many Ghanaians don't make, thousands of Ghanaians don't make 105,000 Ghana a year. And here we are talking about two trips that Justice Tokonu did, one with her husband and then the other with the daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So, and also you look at the tickets that were bought, please, this cannot be trivial. This cannot be said not to hit the threshold. Let's remember, and I see I'm talking street alongside law. The people in the street are very upset because they say, we in the street, we steal a fowl, we go to jail. We steal a goat, we go to jail. We steal plantain, we go to jail. I remember about 3-4 years ago, I was on Joy FM News File. A young man, a barber, whose wife had just given birth and he didn't have money. It led him to steal, what was it? Was it a goat? Something like that. Across the table during the News File program, we had to contribute to get this barber out of jail because his wife had just given birth, fresh baby. Then later, other people contributed to, get him a barbering salon, etc. The stories are countless. So the more people hear that our own beloved Sophia Kufu is saying that these are not weighty matters, then the more they get angry. Please, these are very serious matters. The money is weighty. It's weighty. You see, when she says it's not weighty, one other thing that we must also hit with all the strength we can and get reforms is that she's right. These are trivial. These are not weighty. When you compare to what our ministers, presidents, etc. get, that is where the fight is. But unfortunately, the law is the law. This policy, I have seen a document now making the rounds about Justice Ofoekufu's evidence when she went to the committee, when she went to testify. That policy was in place when she was Chief Justice. I hear some sources say that she also even had either she introduced it or helped to put it in its current shape. And one of the questions in cross-examination, they asked her, when you are going on a private visit as a Chief Justice, then you can only take the security along. Is that correct? And Madame Ofoekufu said yes. Yes, if we have time, those pages I can read. I've just been reading.
Yes, I mean, you know that we'll definitely have a much more expanded conversation on this in the coming days. So that will detail, yes, I've seen that as well, but we'll put it all in compact form for that conversation ahead of us in the coming days. But then again, I think there's a clear establishment that, yes, there was some wrongdoing. If you listen to her, she acknowledges that there was some wrongdoing. But these are her words, that in her honest and candid view, that decision that has been taken as a result of this wrong has weakened the institution of the judiciary. The former Chief Justice, in the view of Ofoekufu, did not get a fair trial. That even though it is not a trial, strictly speaking, it was handled as though it were a treason trial. These were descriptions of what happened. Kazo.
No, I disagree once again. If anything at all, this case is rather strengthening the judiciary, making the judiciary more accountable. That, okay, the public is watching every step of the way, how we use public funds. So the judiciary are to set an example for society to follow. You know, there are 3 professions in this world, right? Law, prostitution, and then divinity, that's the pastors, right? 3. So we are, and amongst these 3, they will tell you that law is the primus inter pares. So we are setting an example for the rest of the nation that when it comes to the judiciary, the standards are very high. It doesn't matter that it's a Chief Justice. So rather, I tell you honestly, this case is rather strengthening the judiciary, meaning that we should return to the straight and narrow. The days where the Chief Justice had levity with the public kitty are gone. And as I've said, Mr. Ocansey, let's stress the point that, let's stress it. In all of this, I get the strong impression, just like Sremsai said, that our beloved Justice Ofoekufu is saying these things because it appears that's how she ran the system. You see, and I'm sure even, look, let's make further points. If you go into the audit report where it's these things that were put before the committee, they were flagged by auditors, okay, the Auditor General's report. You will see that another previous Chief Justice also broke the rule and was asked that his wife returns the money. Please check. When the audit report came out privately, because you say we don't have time, I can't dig. But you see that Chief Justice was asked, his wife was asked to return the money. And as I'm saying, from what we are hearing through the grapevine, this practice didn't start today. So, if anything at all, the judiciary has been used as more or less, let's call it sacrificial lamb, to help to return to the straight and narrow, that we should make sure that we spend the public purse the way it has to be spent by law. Because once again, if you go to the hearing, I mean, the testimony of our beloved Ofoekufu, and you all know that I love Ofoekufu to bits, all right? My Yasantua, our Yasantua. You will see that there's a part where she was asked in cross-examination that the policy that as Chief Justice they were using for travels, etc., right? That money they receive is contrary to what is in their letters of appointment. So what is coming out is that I didn't know. Well, we are all learning. Not knowing when the Chief Justice is sworn in, the Chief Justice is given a letter of appointment by the President. Is there any wonder that usually Chief Justices don't appear too independent? Because the President gives the Chief Justice a letter of appointment.
And you're asking that power be taken from the President?
Absolutely. And we started making this call in Akufo-Addo's time. And I didn't even start it. I know that previously, even from Kufuor's time. So I have just come to continue a fight that started over 20 years ago. The President gives the Chief Justice a letter of appointment. So is it any surprise what was happening? That the Speaker case, the Afenyo Marking case, it was filed, and within an hour and a half, the Chief Justice had collected judges to sit on the case, etc. So back to this point, the point we're making is that at the committee hearing, Madame Sophie Kufu was asked that does she see that what is in the letter of appointment, the travel policy about the per diems to be received, is different from what the judiciary had set up, and she said yes. So, and we all know that the letter of appointment will supersede what they had set up in the judiciary. So this case is a classic masterstroke case of accountability of the judiciary. The judiciary taking the lead in making sure that we are resetting. This is a resetting agenda where we want to protect the public purse, not like somebody who came and by the time he was leaving, we had lost the public purse. We couldn't find it. Somehow, we have found a new public purse. And this time, we want to make sure that everybody is guarding the public purse. So please, we cannot say that these matters are not weighty. This is unnecessary. Please, no. No, I can't agree. Yes, what it is that I had said that we should allow Justice Tokonu to resign. And I still, right now it's too late. You know, I've been making that call.
You have been, and you were consistent about it.
Supreme Court decisions.
Absolutely.
Yes, we've referred to the Justice Derry case and the J. Chum case where the Supreme Court said if they start these hearings, the respondent, in this case, Justice Tokonu, should not be allowed to resign. But I still believe strongly that if the statesmen like Kufuor, etc., had stood up and prevailed upon President Mahama, we could have had a political settlement. But let's say citizens didn't push enough for Justice Tokonu. It didn't happen. Okay?
There are others who also hold a different view. If you say citizens didn't push enough, because she herself, when she addressed the press conference, indicated that your proposal of she resigning for a political settlement, as you put it, was not even on the table. It's not an option, because if she had done that, she would have lost all her entitlements. Having been at the bench for over 20 years, I mean, juxtapose that with that decision or that proposal you make to her that, look, to avoid all of this, just resign. She said that was not on the table. She gave you the answer herself.
Yes, Mr. Ocansey, I disagree once again. I disagree on two fronts. Look, as I told you, we're making those calls. You think if they had gone to President Kufuor, they had gone to Otumfuor, who again, as for Akufo-Addo, you know that I will support Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo would have made her case worse. Go to other statesmen. Think if they had come together and then the media had leaked it, that, these statesmen have stepped in, public pressure would have come upon President Mahama that, I know Chief Justice Tokonu, Charlie, the first time, she's not the worst citizen, yet what she suffered is like the suffering given to the worst of our citizens. She's not a bad judge, not bad. As for this rule, this expenditure to that quarter, like we are saying, from every indication, she's not the only one to have breached these rules. Her predecessors have breached it, right? And there's record to show that her predecessors breached it. So you see where the sympathy is coming from. So I believe that, and we always knew this story that's come, we had heard it. So you see, this is what happened. Soon after the elections, when NDC won, it became clear that because of how Justice Tokonu had handled the vacant seats matter, she had, created a lot of enmity for herself. Speaker Bagbin had to respond to her publicly. Right. And Tadio Sori, who is one of the lawyers for Daniel Ofori, wasn't treated well in the court. And you can go to YouTube and watch the proceedings, etc. So me, as soon as NDC won, privately, we started saying that, look, it would be better for Justice Tokonu to resign. She couldn't read the mood of the country.
Right.
The country wants a reset. You could see it, and you see it in the number of votes. Over 1.6 million for John Mahamada, we threw out in 2016.
Right.
It should have been a strong message to Justice Tokonu that resign. She held on. But even after the petition started, I still believe that if she had gone begging, asking people to intervene enough, it could have worked. Well, I believe it could have worked.
I see. Well, as you indicate, it's probably too late, but she did indicate that that was not even, on the table for her. But I thank you very much. As I indicated, on Saturday, we have a conversation on this one. So reserve all the other references you sought to make for that big one. Thank you so much for joining us, Martin Bebo. Appreciate you.
You're welcome.
He's private legal practitioner, Martin Bebo. Well, let's stay a bit further on this. The Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Adam Semsai, also had this to say in that interview with Joseph Akable earlier today about the position by the former Chief Justice, now member of the Council of State, Sophia Akufo. Take a look.
It's as if we don't want to hold Chief Justice to account, or that we want to lower the bar for persons who occupy certain offices because of where they sit. I think that is more dangerous than anything.
But if the change should be taking place based on which party should be in power, that will not be good for the country.
Those who make that argument, is it the case that they want the Chief Justice to? I mean, it's a process. Okay, so long as you're able to prove that one, incompetence has been, if you're able to demonstrate that the person in office has been incompetent, if you're able to prove that the person has misconducted him or herself, or that the person is infirmity of mind and body, that is the principle in the Constitution. 3 grounds. If you're able to satisfy any of the grounds, the person goes. And I wouldn't be looking at the fact that the person is coming with the president and is going with the president. And would you want a Chief Justice who has misconducted him or herself, or who is incompetent, to remain in office across presidents, or you want Chief Justices to be effective in their offices across presidents? I think that is where the question is. Do we want a certain standard to be kept, or we want just the person to be in the office for as long as we want? Don't you think that there's another side of this which would keep the occupants of the office on their toes? Because, for example, when I listen to the former Chief Justice, I get the impression that she herself probably has been doing some of these things when she was, or did some of these things when she was in the office, because clearly she didn't think it was a big deal, right?
Well, a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC as well, Mustafa Gbande, so said this because this matter took a political turn in terms of the position others had about it. And that's what you had Dr. Adam Semsai reference about the processes that were employed and then it being strictly constitutional. Mustafa Gbande says of the view that they watched and allowed the Constitution to play out. Christian Yale spoke to him earlier today.
I'm very much interested in the judiciary because, for me, the judiciary in Ghana have done me injustice before. So really? I understand how it feels. Yes, a judge sat down and gave a judgment for my 2 houses to be demolished. He hasn't seen me. He hasn't summoned me. And that is supposed to be justice. So it doesn't matter what it takes. I will stand at the peril of every privilege I have to fight for justice in this country. Did President Mahama remove a Chief Justice? No. The law removed the Chief Justice. Madam Sophia Akufo today is not a judge. She is a former judge. She's a former Chief Justice. Yes. She is currently a member of the Council of State who took this decision. Justice Sophia Akufo was there. So to come out talking this way, for me, betrays her representation and purpose on the Council of State. If she so believed that there were better options, better alternative, as a former Chief Justice privileged to be on the Council of State, she would have prevailed at that level. So to come out like this, I think that it opens the Pandora box for unnecessary judgment of her motives and why she made that statement.
This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. We're back shortly after this quick break. The Member of Parliament-elect for the Akwatia constituency, Bediako Baidoo, private legal practitioner as well, is going to be joining us after this quick break. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani.
From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. We're also live on 3FM 92.7. Now, joining us on Zoom right now is the Member of Parliament elect for the Akwatia constituency on the ticket of the NDC, Bediako Baidoo. He's a private legal practitioner as well. He's headed to Parliament. Now, after winning that fiercely contested by-election in the Akwatia constituency that was occasioned as a result of the untimely death of the former MP, N.S. Yakomi, Bediako Baidoo is joining us on Zoom right now. Good evening to you. Mr. Baidoo, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
And congratulations to you. It's in order.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. And if you could kindly sit back a bit for us.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, so you're basking in the glory and the victory of yesterday. I understand today has been a day of Thanksgiving for you, correct?
That is so. That is so.
And
I've been going around. Oh well, let me say good evening to your viewers, and I thank the people of Akwatia and its environs. Thank them so much for the confidence reposed in me and the honor. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And yes, so after the election, such a victory you don't need to downplay. So just this morning we started the Thanksgiving. We went to that section of the constituency we call the railway zone, which zone includes Achim Wenchi and its small towns, Swabe, Achim Swabe, Achim Takrase, Achim Kusi, and then there's various small towns around. So we are done with that. I came home not long ago. So we continue to follow.
There's a lot ahead of you. But really, looking at the election outcome yesterday, what worked for you? I mean, you led this strategy deployed by the NDC as the candidate on the ticket of the party in this by-election. What worked for you to now turn or overturn what happened in 2024 to your favor?
Well, you see, I would say it had to do with the message we gave the people. It was a message of hope and development, because we knew that Akwatia had been hungry for development over the 8 years. We understood, we came in a bit late, but we had primaries. And so they just selected a candidate. We had primaries, so that took a while. Immediately after I was elected, you remember this national tragedy, which of course made it impossible for us to get out there to campaign. So that also was a problem. So we got in a bit late. So we also had the opportunity of understanding what our people were out there doing and the results that were, the feedback we were getting from their engagement with the people, because they were already out there. And they didn't stop the campaign as a result of the tragedy. They were out there still campaigning. So we got to understand that their main message was about 95%, about sympathy. The fact that someone is late and so they have a replacement, and that NDC does not have a shame. They shouldn't have contested this election, and that it is the MP that is late, and so they should be given the mandate. That was their message. And the fact that we took him to court, and so we whether I'm not too sure what they intended with that we knew about the death of the late Honorable N.S. Yakomi. So this was their message. We decided not to respond to this. We will not join them in that, because that is not what the people want to hear. So we went out there and told the people that we are here to give you hope. that there is a new administration, which administration is people-centered. The new administration, which I represent in the constituency, is promising that we will do a lot of things to aid your living and all that, your living standards and all that. And these are the things they told us they wanted to hear. So the people had engaged them for a while. Once we got in and we talked about development, they said, hey, this is what we want to hear. You understand? So we got to know that indeed that's what they wanted to hear. Not the fact that we were in to deceive them. We've demonstrated in various ways to show that we indeed have their concerns at heart. And there are a few things which were, the immediate ones we were able to even resolve for them and all that. So they saw us as a better option. They saw us as people who were serious in delivering, rather than somebody who would put out a poster, which poster would have the late MP's weather picture or shadow behind you, as if that is his running mate. And so the people took our message and weighed and were sure that we had a better message. And the strategy worked for us.
Well, but as a strategy has worked, and you've won this election, in fact, with a margin more than what happened in 2024, overturning that result and even adding more to it. The people, as you indicated, you took a message to them, they bought into it. These are the expectations, at least based on the Global Info Analytics survey prior to this primaries yesterday. We'll put that on the screen. Number one on the minds of the people of Akwatia is development projects. That's their first expectation. They're expecting that you would lobby to bring development to this area that has been deprived of development, even though it's a mining town. No, Bediako.
Yes, I mean, even before info, because we have been in the constituency, I've been a constituency secretary for years before coming this far. So I knew what the people really wanted. Now, and that is what we've elected to do. So we will do it. See, this is the issue. We told the people we are capable of delivering. Two things I always say play out here. If you are voting or you intend voting for an MP, for me, two things you should look out for. The person is supposed to be a representative of yours. So you should look at the demeanor of the person. Look at the persona. If this person fits to represent me, as in, is he the kind of person who can carry my cross, my problems, and seek solutions to it? Is this somebody who can advocate for me? Advocacy includes lobbying. So you should be a good communicator, undoubtedly. You cannot be a good member of parliament if you are not good in communication and lobbying. That is one. So that is about the two of us. You will be the best judge. You've followed our campaign. You know between myself and my brother who is best placed to represent the people of Akwatia. Now the second thing, or the second issue for me is this, that you may be good at communicating, but you should also have the connection. Otherwise, you will talk for nothing. So, and the connection here, as far as we are concerned, is the fact that the government of the day is my government. So I'm connected, no doubt about it. So if you are good in lobbying and you have the connection, you can best represent the people. But the people are not voting for nothing. They vote for development. Now, having known this, I come into the fray with that kind of perspective that the people's mandate cannot be taken for a ride. Mm-hmm. See, when the chief of staff came to town, and I'm sure you know about some construction of roads.
Yes. So who instructed that? Why did you decide to construct roads at the morning of the by-election? And even when the election was ongoing, you were constructing roads.
Yes, I mean, it wasn't in the morning of the by-election necessarily, but the truth of the matter is that it started before the elections. But it only continued during the elections because they shouldn't have stopped because they are doing their work irrespective of. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Yes, the contractor is doing its work regardless of what time it is. The background to that is this. Weeks before the elections, His Excellency, the President, was in town and he instructed the Chief of Staff to come and have me introduced to the chiefs of the area. The Chief of Staff came together with some ministers and met all the chiefs in the area at Osiewo's palace. It wasn't a secret meeting. The Osiewo, after the introduction, the Osiewo took advantage. You know how chiefs
I see.
took advantage of the situation and pleaded for these projects to be done for him. Now, the the Chief of Staff said no, he didn't come because of that. So we should come to the Jubilee House at a later date to have that discussion, and that I should bring them. I took the chiefs to the Jubilee House, and the chiefs requested the paper they presented to the Vice President, who was then the acting president and sat through the meeting. He took copies of them. And they pleaded that we need this, at least in the interim, a few roads that needed to be fixed, needed to fix. So then the government took a decision to oblige. So essentially, the decision to do those roads came from the chiefs, not from the government. And the chiefs are happy. That's why if you take your cameras along or to the policies in the constituency, they will tell you that they are happy with what's going on because they requested, and the listening government, as NDCS, obliged them. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, you cannot also, for those who would associate the timing of this request to what is happening. Then again,
no, but so
I think that.
Let me address respectfully.
In a minute, yes, quickly.
In that case, quick one. In that case, whom will you blame? Is it the chiefs or the government who obliged? Is it the chiefs who requested or the government that obliged the chiefs? Who will be held for the blame?
Well,
the chiefs made the request. The government must run. In fact, the government, I don't even subscribe to this thing because it's by-election, this shouldn't happen. Look, if it were just to deceive the people, we are done with the elections, I've won. But how come this night, I'm in my village, like my town, right now, the construction is still ongoing.
I see.
It's still ongoing. It's still ongoing. Let your people come. Because it is actually a contract to work for the contractor to complete the work. It is not for by-election. If it were just for the by-election, by now, the machines would have been taken away. But go to the various towns, and the work is ongoing. And I am privileged to have information to the effect that the routes will be completed as planned.
And that definitely falls directly on your lap now as Member of Parliament for Akwatia.
Absolutely.
I thank you. Right. Thank you for joining us. And
thank you.
We would have an extensive conversation in the coming days as well. Thank you.
I would love to. I would love to. Grateful.
Bernard Bediako Baidoo is Member of Parliament elect for the Akwatia constituency. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Alfred. Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.